Hey guys, welcome to the Binge Zone. On today's Ending Explained video, we're going to be talking about Jordan Peele's latest movie, Us, and we're going to be talking about the plot twist and the second character who may be tethered, as well as various other plot connections, such as the connection to Get Out and various other spoilers and twists. So if you guys have not seen the movie, I suggest you stop this video now, go watch the movie, and get back to us after you've seen the movie, because from here on out, nothing but spoilers. And let's just get into the movie. The movie begins and we're following a black family. Specifically, the story revolves around Adelaide, Lupita Nyong'o's character. But as the movie starts, it takes us back to 1986. In 1986, we see Adelaide is watching a TV commercial about Hands Across America. This whole movement about ending world hunger that America was going to do in 1986, where they hold hands from coast to coast. Now, at first, that might be a throwaway scene, but this is very important and an integral piece to the actual storyline, so it actually matters. And then later that night, we see that Adelaide's mom and her father take her to the Santa Cruz beach, and they take her down the boardwalk where she wanders off from them and she ends up in a mirror house. Now, the mirror house is interesting because it's essentially what the whole theme of the movie is: mirrors, reflection, ourselves in our shadow. And Adelaide walks down until she runs into a little girl. Now that little girl turns around and it's Adelaide staring back at herself. There's two of her and cut to black, and we're back to the present. And in the present, we're following Adelaide, who's married now and has two kids, and they're going on summer vacation to Santa Cruz Beach. Now, the interesting thing here is, and you start to notice some tidbits about the family, is the fact that on their way there, Adelaide seems uneasy, and we get flashbacks to her post-traumatic stress disorder that happens after she went to the horror house, where she forgot how to speak. Adelaide was traumatized by the experience of meeting a copy of herself in that funhouse, and because of that, her parents took her to therapy and tried to get her to speak because she could not speak. And in the car ride, we start to get hints about what's going on, or the deeper meanings of the story, because their daughter actually drops a very important Easter egg about the whole plot of the movie. She talks about fluoride being in the water and how the government uses fluoride as a way to control the population, kind of like a secret government conspiracy. And at first you're thinking fluoride in the water, whatever. But that's an actual conspiracy theory, because the link to it is the fact that Hitler actually used that in his concentration camps. So it was harmless like the government tells us it is. Why would Hitler be using it in his concentration camps if it's really harmless? But the tidbit is the fact that it's about a government conspiracy. And as we find out in the movie, this whole thing is a government experiment gone wrong. Another tidbit to notice in this opening sequence is their son has a different vocabulary, in the sense that he knows words that they have not taught him. And while he's saying those words, the father is trying to figure out what he learned it from, as well as his sister. However, his mom is laughing on the side. Adelaide is laughing, and the son sees Adelaide laughing. Now, this is going to pay dividends later in the movie, because this is a very interesting key character trait about both the characters, both the son and Adelaide, that was going to pay dividends later in the movie, because it's part of the major plot twist of this movie. Now, once they get to Santa Cruz Beach, Adelaide makes a big fuss about going to the beach. Again, we have flashbacks, and we start to believe that it is because of her past experience with the tethered, and she's kind of traumatized meeting that girl in the dark, and she runs off. However, as the scene progresses and they're on the beach and she's talking to her friend, the woman from the Tyler family who's talking to her, a few things happen here. And one, we see that she doesn't really have good social skills. Adelaide doesn't really know how to talk. And while the family themselves were eating dinner, everyone was eating regular meat and food, and Adelaide herself was eating strawberries. This matters. It matters, and I'm going to explain why, because we're getting in full plot twist mode. We find out later in the movie that Adelaide was actually switched in the mirror house, and the one that's living above ground and has the family was originally a tethered who lived underground, and she took the real Adelaide and switched places with her. Now, we know when the tethered family attacks that down there, they only eat raw rabbit, so they don't actually eat other types of food. So when Adelaide goes up and she's eating strawberries, that makes her different from the family. That also shows us that she's disgusted by meat. If you spend your life eating raw rabbit, you would become vegan, or you would become something that doesn't eat meat, vegetarian, or whatever the case may be, to stay away from meat, because you had such a traumatic experience with that. And that explains why Adelaide was so antsy about going to Santa Cruz Beach. Not because she ran into a copy of herself and that traumatized her, but because she knew what she did. She actually stole the real girl, put her underground, and she escaped. So she has fears that the girl's gonna come out for revenge for her, because she did a fucked up thing. She was a tethered, and she switched places with someone from the above ground. And as we can see from the movie, none of the tethered actually go above ground, and that's why it's kind of a weird scenario, and that's why she was so freaked out about going there in the first place, because she knew what she did, and the potential repercussions and the potential of her switching places again bothers her, because she loves her family and she knew how horrible and miserable a life as a tethered is. Another scene in this beach that plays a great importance is when the sun was playing in the sand, and the two girls from the Tyler family are like, he's weird. What is he building? He's not building a sandcastle. He's actually building tunnels. And we know the tethered live underground and they use tunnel systems to go across America. So why would he be building tunnels if he's a regular little boy? His sister also mentioned while they're in their vacation house, he actually got locked in the closet and he was locked there for a little while and he got lost in the house. So again, that's another clue as to who he might actually be. So the Adelaide that we know and we're accustomed to is the actual tethered, and the son may be a potential, something's wrong with him, is not quite there. Once we have those characters and the tethered attack that night and they take the family and they're explaining what happened, we come to find out that they are a government experiment. What the government tried to do early on was clone humans. However, the process failed because while you can clone the physical characteristics of humans, you can't clone the soul. And essentially these tethered became like shadows to the people above ground, as we see in the movie when Adelaide escapes and switches places with the other version of her. We see that the steps that they take down there, the people up there take. So whatever we do up here, the tethered would be doing underground. So when we're eating, they're eating raw rabbit. When we're getting toys, they're on the floor. Like Adelaide married her husband, the tethered version of her had to marry someone she did not love or even know and have kids that she did not love or even know, because Adelaide had kids. So whatever you do up there, it's mimicked down there. However, the real Adelaide, who's now a tethered, had the ability to speak and think for herself, and that's how she was able to become the leader of the underground tethered, because they have no mind of their own, they can't speak. So that's why she comes with the plan to take control of the world above, and she was able to organize them using what she had learned in the beginning of the movie. Because remember, we saw the commercial for the Hands Across America 1986 commercial, and that was her plan, to show the world that they are together and they are united and they want to end and do a demonstration, because that was such a powerful thing as a kid. Imagine everyone in the world holding hands across America. So she kept that in her mind, and that was her driving force. And that's why when the tethered attack everyone, we see that every other tethered kills their doppelgängers relatively quickly. However, Adelaide and her family don't kill the family above ground. They kind of make them suffer because Adelaide wants revenge. So she wanted Adelaide to suffer. That's why they did not immediately kill the family above ground and tried to make them suffer for all the suffering that she had to endure. And that's why she was mad that Adelaide switched places with her, as opposed to just taking me with you. Like, if you wanted to escape, let's escape together, as opposed to switching places and leaving me down here to rot with these other mindless tethered freaks. Another key part of this movie is Jeremiah 11:11, the biblical scripture, and that shows up plenty of times in the movie. One of the things that's interesting about it is the fact that the 11:11 is like mirrored opposites of each other, kind of like the Get Out poster where it's mirrored. However, here's what the Bible verse itself says. Therefore, thus said the Lord, behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hear them. So that's Jeremiah 11:11 from the Bible. And in that sense, it kind of reminds us of the rapture, the end of times, the end of the world, and how God wouldn't strike us down, and how the world essentially is going to end. So essentially, this is Jordan Peele's way of telling us this is how the world is going to end, or this is this universe, the us universe way of telling us this is how the world ends. Even though this is a localized epidemic, because the tethered only exist in America because it is an American government experiment. So there are no tethered across the world. And even Adelaide's tethered herself says that they are American. So this is a localized thing. So it's not actually a biblical thing of great proportions, of global proportions, but it is something that's biblical, and it's kind of a message there, because the tethered Adelaide believed that God forsaken them, thus hinting the Bible verse. It could be the fact that she saw the same guy above ground and underground with the Jeremiah 11:11 scripture on his cardboard, but it is something to actually connect to the movie, the fact that they are forgotten and forsaken underground by God, and the Bible scripture itself is about God forsaken people. Now, there is a small connection to Get Out, but maybe it's me grasping at straws. However, if you remember the plot of Get Out, it's about white people trying to get into black bodies and extend their life. And this movie is a cloning experiment gone wrong, essentially people trying to extend their life. So that connection is there. Jordan Peele has this thing in his first two movies where it's about body swapping and swapping places. However, in Get Out, they were able to duplicate the soul onto another body. However, they were not able to duplicate the body themselves, so they had to snatch it. In this movie, they're able to duplicate the body, but not the soul. So it's kind of two halves of one coin. One is about soul duplication and sharing bodies, two souls, one body. And this one's about two bodies, one soul, because the tethered are kind of like the shadows of the people above ground. And even tethered Adelaide says the same thing, that they are shadows to the people above ground. So that's kind of a connection there. And maybe, just maybe, if it's a shared universe, there could be a thing where both of them are part of the same experiment. One branched out to physically duplicate bodies and couldn't because there was no soul. So the other sub-branch went to duplicate the soul inside of another body as opposed to actual cloning, if they're in the shared universe. If not, it's still a cool concept that Jordan Peele has two sides of one coin, where it's body duplication and the other one soul duplication, which I find very interesting. And I wonder, in his next movie, is there going to be some other sort of duplication process in his next featured film? Because we know he's doing more of these crazy movies. And of course, we know at the end, Adelaide switches bodies with herself. But a key thing is, throughout the movie, we're getting hints that the sun is different. And at the end of the movie, we see something that kind of confirms it. The fact that the tethered sun walks backwards into the flames and erupts, and above ground Adelaide kind of freaks out about it and cries, while underground Adelaide takes the other boy and runs downstairs, but doesn't kill him. She stashes him away because she maybe knows that's her son who actually switched places. Well, it's weird because he could have been the one that was born underground and switched places with the one above ground, because we see the tethered son has a burnt face, and we see the one that was living above ground has this magic trick that lights a match, but he says that he did the trick before, but he doesn't remember it. It could be him as the tethered, when he was underground, remember and mimicking the movements of the above ground kid trying to do it, but he's never actually seen it. That's why he doesn't remember the trick. And that could explain why the other one has his mouth burned and they switched places, because he actually did the trick, burned himself, and now that he burned his mouth and can't speak, the one underground switched places with him. And that's why he's learning all these new words in this vocabulary they're not teaching him, because maybe Adelaide is teaching him, because now he realizes that at the end of the movie, his mom is not who he thought she was, but instead of telling the dad or anybody else, he just puts his mask on and continues going on. Anyway, guys, that's the movie Us, broken down, all the Easter eggs, all the explanations I can get. Let me know in the comment section below, did I miss anything, or what else you'd like to know? Let me know in the comment section below, guys. And if you like the video, you like Us, let me know your favorite scene in the movie, because my favorite scene in the movie is when the daughter's like, hey, I got the most kills when she wants to drive the car, because she's a teenager and she's killing kind of like video games. I thought that was pretty cool. Let me know your favorite scene in the comment section below. And if you like this video, definitely hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you guys haven't already. And until next time, binge on.